Welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique, the podcast series where we chat about shit with inspirational people from all walks of life. Today we are joined by the wonderful and inspiring Aisling Carson. We hope you enjoy this conversation. So Aisling, welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique. Absolutely thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Today's topic is training and nutrition with an ileostomy. And I know you've got a really interesting perspective on this because A, you have an ileostomy, and B, you are also a PT and an online coach. So I'm really excited to get into this with you. Before we get going, could we start right at the beginning of your stoma journey, please? When did you start experiencing symptoms and kind of what happened after that?
Yeah, so I was I think growing up, I don't really remember much, but I think my mummy always said, I always had a problem with my tummy or I was always just feeling sick or whatever. And then it was when I was 17, the symptoms started. So it would go from one extreme to the other. So basically being constipated to then needing to run to the toilet. So I was just what is happening? But it was sort of I was just oh, it is what it is. It's maybe a bug or my tummy's just upset. And then it was a few weeks after that, then I first seen blood and I was just oh my God, what is crack here? So I didn't really know what the issue was. And then it was just after I'd seen blood, then everything just went downhill. It was just a pain, extreme cramps. I was just losing weight so quickly. I couldn't keep anything down. It was just running out of me. And then I had made an appointment at the doctor, and I remember going with my mum, and I was trying to sit in the waiting room, but also needing to run to the toilet. It was awful. And then and at this point I was holding my tummy, I couldn't even stand up straight with the pain. And the doctor was just yeah, so it's a 6-week wait to see a gastroenterologist. And I was just oh, and my mum was she won't be here in 6 weeks. This is not okay. So thankfully my daddy had private health insurance, and so he got me on that. And then by the end of the week I had a colonoscopy done and a diagnosis straight after the colonoscopy. So yeah, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and that was when I was 17. So it was at the start of my AS level. So I was in 6th year at the time. So I don't know if it was stress that brought it on, and I wasn't very stressed in school, to be honest, but don't know, just started all of a sudden.
That must have been really difficult when you were trying to sit your exams. Did it affect your school work and life as well?
Yeah, so that year I had obviously I had 3 exams, or 3 subjects to do exams in, and I remember just being oh my God, how am I going to do any of this? And at that point I was still really sick. I don't know if I'd been diagnosed at that point, or anyway, I was just still so sick. And I think I sat all the exams I was supposed to. And I'd been told by the exam board that if you sit part of the exam, the second half of the exam will just be a reflective mark on the first half. And I did that at one point, and it didn't even come true. I got an E because I didn't sit half the exam. But I know, so it was such a disaster. But thankfully it was only AS, so I had the following year to do everything basically, which was stressful, but
I'm not surprised it was stressful. That's no mean feat, though, actually sitting all of the exams when you were in that much pain and that poorly. So you should be really proud of yourself for doing that.
Yeah, so, even I just remember there was speaking exams as well, and I was just this is terrible because I studied Irish. So I think the speaking exams were the worst part because I was just I can't be here.
I can't communicate with you now. Oh, you poor thing. So that was when you were 17, you were diagnosed, but then was it a few years before you had your surgery?
Yeah, so I had 3 years between my diagnosis and my surgery. So essentially after that I was put on tablets and a foam enema, the worst. And that did keep me well for the summer. I went on holiday and I was doing okay. And then it was that August time. So then again, the doctor was oh, you're stressed because you're going back to school. And I was just no, I'm not. No one bit of me. But yeah, essentially then after that, so I got 2 months of feeling okay. And then after that, it was just a downhill spiral. I tried every medication. I think I was on steroids then from that point, and I was essentially on them for 2.5 years. And obviously you're not supposed to be on them for more than like 3 months, and my face was literally it was the size of the moon, like. But so yeah, I tried like all sorts of medication. Like I was getting like iron infusions. I was getting like the biologic drugs, like infusions, like every 8 weeks, but they just didn't do anything at all.
And I'm assuming that really impacted the whole rest of your life as well. Like, could you socialize? How was the rest of your life while you were so poorly?
Yeah, I didn't really do much. I played sport when I was younger, and I obviously just like didn't go back to sport. I didn't go to the gym or do anything like that. And then trying to think. I was working like a full-time job. So at the time when I was in school, I wanted to do a course called Communication, Advertising and Marketing. And even to this day, like I think it would have been ideal for me, but you needed like 3 A's at the time. So I didn't think I'd be able to get that. No, and I was sick. So I picked like an apprenticeship sort of scheme. Like it was like business consultancy. And I did end up getting the grades for the other course, but I went with this consultancy instead. So it was like a full-time job, and I studied part-time. So my life was basically taken up with like work and then like uni in the evening, like twice a week, or like one night in the evening and then full day Friday. So I didn't really have much time to socialise. So it kind of did work out well. Like all my friends were obviously in uni and like going out drinking, and I did join them sometimes, like, but it just like it wasn't the same. Like normal food didn't do good things to me, so alcohol never was fun to. So yeah, like it just consumed like every part of my life. And like looking back now, I'm like my family are very like hardworking family and stuff, but like looking back there, I should never have been anywhere near the office. Like I should have been in bed or at the hospital.
Absolutely. Oh, how did your life change then after you had your surgery?
Oh my God, like I can't even describe it. Like I remember going down to like the operating room and like needing to go to the toilet and being like, stop the bed, like I need to run the toilet. And then being like, just calm down. And then like the second I woke up, like don't get me wrong, like I was crying and screaming at people to like up my morphine because the pain was so bad. But seeing not feeling that pain that like held like literally ruined my life for 3 years, like it was just like such a relief. So like even though this pain was like a million times worse, but it just wasn't, in the sense that like I just knew it was only gonna get better from there. So yeah, I think just like it was just complete change from like the second I woke up. I was like, okay, even though like I hated every thought of a bag, like I was the most stubborn person ever. But
you're not alone. Like every person that I speak to, that specifically people who have come from kind of an IBD journey to a bag, almost everyone says they put it off for so long because the thought of it was so overwhelming. And actually when they had it, the quality of life was just like incomparable to what it was before.
Yeah. Like I was so stubborn that like anytime I was in hospital, and like even the time that I was in hospital that ended up me having to get, my surgery was emergency as well, but they kept being like, oh, we'll bring in our shrine, talk to you about stoma bags. And I was just like, no, no. I was just like, I don't want to hear it because I don't need it. I always just thought to be some sort of like cure. Or, like I was always like following like Crohn's and Colitis UK and like research people, and like I just thought like a new drug would come out and I could get better. But so I essentially knew nothing about it when I was given one. It's weird, like it's also like kind of ties into like your brand as well. Like I always pictured bags being like the beige colour, and like just they creeped me out. Like I was just like a young trendy girl. I just didn't want the beige bags stuck to my tummy, and they were also kind of like see-through, and that just freaked me out. And I know obviously now I wouldn't be like that, and like it's so much different, like your health is so important. But like as a teenage girl I was just like, hell no. But see, waking up and having I wear the Coloplast ones now and they're grey, like it's just so much different. I didn't have to see anything if I didn't want to. Like I don't know, it was weird. It was so much nicer than what I thought.
That's so good to hear that you found something that worked for you, and actually it wasn't, the thought of it was so much worse than the reality. I've seen you talk a lot about confidence and body image, specifically around women, on your social media. And I wondered how having your stoma surgery impacted your relationship with your body or your body image. Did anything change after that?
I can't even remember ever having like massive body confidence when I was younger. I do remember like I didn't care about like wearing makeup in school, and like I just didn't really care what anyone thought. And then I think when I had a bag, like I am the most open person ever. Like I will overshare so many times, and I think that's what just like really helped me, like realizing that like I was showing everyone it, and like it was gory, it
I
was like
love that.
scars and like everything, but I was just like so open about it from the onset. So I just like I like say like all the time, like it's what helped me. Like I was just like so open, like this is nothing to like be ashamed of. Like everyone come look at my intestine, and like to this day if I'm changing my bag and I'm with my friends, I'm like, who wants to see? And they're all like, yeah, cool, that's so amazing. So I think like I don't know, it's just like I didn't really care about my body beforehand, but like seeing like what it had been like, and then like the change of like going through surgery and like recovering, and like just the strength that our bodies have is just like amazing. So that's when like the whole body image sort of confidence and like body positivity started, because I just feel like if I can come from where I came from, then like let's all try and do it together, because it's not easy, and everyone has like their own things that they're like insecure about and stuff, but like it's all like human things that like people care about. So like it kind of ties into like people being embarrassed by like IBD symptoms, but like it could literally happen the person sitting next to you, because like we all have bodies, like it's just completely normal. So like everything that we're insecure about, like it's just bodies at the end of the day, means very little.
I love that. In terms of being active, you mentioned obviously when you were poorly, you had to stop any kind of sports or working out, anything like that. But I know that you were actually competing at quite a high level at one point for your county or country. Is that correct in the sport?
It was just my club. I sort of dabbled in county and stuff a bit, but it was mostly for my club I played, yeah. But and like intermediate championship as well. So not high level, but enough for me.
Sounds pretty high level to me. So once you'd had your surgery and things kind of started really looking up, how did you feel about getting back into training? Was that quite a scary thing that you needed to overcome, or were you very ready?
I was so ready. Like I just wanted to get there as soon as possible, but obviously like your body basically just dictates like how quickly you can go with things, and like I was given no sort of guidance at all. Like I wasn't told to do this or don't do that. I remember being told obviously I couldn't lift anything heavier than a kettle because of like my wound, because obviously your muscles are cut right down the middle. But like after I could like lift things as heavy as kettle, I was just like, okay, I can do everything. And I think like I just listened to my body, because I had no like external guidance, which I think was the best thing. Like I started leaving the house and like going shopping with my mummy, and then like going on walks, then like going up mountains, and then I just went into the gym and was just sticking to like cardio machines, even though like cardio is the last thing I want to be doing, but it just did sort of get me like fit again. And then like I was just always like eyeing up the weight section and then just being ready to like start.
So when did you start weight training again?
I think I started weight training probably like 3 months after surgery, yeah. And I mean, like it'd be very like light weights and like not high intensity or anything like that. Just everything I'd advise other people, like just take things slow. But yeah, essentially weight training, even if it was like 2 kilo dumbbells.
When we had a conversation last week or the week before, you mentioned that there was quite a few sort of myths that you'd heard about training with a stoma, like things that people say that you can't do, and the fact that you kind of wanted to debunk them. I know you've done some quite wild stuff since you've been in Bali. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so like essentially as long as your core is as strong as like it can be, like that's what I focused on, like just getting my core strong. And like even to this day, like I'll never do anything if it feels funny, and like I always just like ensure that I do like my core prehab, like just make sure it's always strong, so that if I ever am lifting something heavy, my core can like withstand that like force and stuff. But yeah, so for playing Gaelic football, obviously it's not really supposed to be contact with women, but it is, and you can get like this guard, and it's basically just like this like hollow plastic thing like this, and it just sits over like my intestine. So that's how I played contact sports, and like essentially like because I knew my core was strong, and like there was nothing really that stopped me, and like you can get like belts and stuff that can support you until you get your core strong, but like the best thing you can do is just like work with what you have. So like just train it from the inside out. And then yeah, so since I've been in Bali, like I've surfed, so like just lying flat on my tummy, I have done like yoga, I've done like Muay Thai, I've did BJJ one time as well, or a few times, but yeah.
Oh wait, can you just say what BBJ is for anyone who doesn't know?
Oh God, I don't even know what it's on.
What do
Something,
you do?
oh my God, I actually don't know. That's really embarrassing. Don't put this on.
No, it's fine. What do you do when you're doing it?
It's jujitsu, so like rolling on the floor, like grabbing people. But I was a complete beginner, and I went with my friend, so it was just more like fighting each other.
And you've had no issues with your stoma doing any of these?
No, no. Well, one time I was at like Muay Thai, and I was with like a girl who she did become like one of my best friends, and we were doing this drill at the start, and you had to just like kick someone's stomach, and then they were just like pushing back, and like it was all like footwork, your core and stuff. And I was just like, oh, just aim your foot for my left side of my stomach, and she's like, oh my God, why? And all, and I was just like, just do it, like don't ask questions, like we don't have time, just like aim over here, just don't kick over here. And she was just like, oh my God, actually, are you pregnant and all? And then after I was like, oh, I basically have an ileostomy bag, like my intestine sits on the outside of my stomach. And she was just like, oh my God. But
Thank God she
yeah.
aimed left.
Yeah, so like in those classes, like I just always paired up with like a friend or like someone who I could trust. And even at that, like when I was with the trainers and stuff, like I didn't have to tell them, and there was no like body shots or anything. It was more like me with their like punching bag. So like it was so enjoyable, and it was just so good that like it didn't stop me at all, and I didn't even have to tell anyone about it.
What would your advice be to someone who feels really overwhelmed or frightened at the thought of like going into a gym? It could be that they're lacking confidence, or they feel out of place, or perhaps concerned that someone might see or comment on their stoma.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been training in the gym for how many years since I've had a stoma? Like 4.5 now, and sometimes I wear like shorts that are like light coloured or like thin and buttery, and like you can 100% see my bag through my shorts, and like not a single person has ever said anything to me. So I think it's a very rational fear, but it's never going to happen. And like even if it does, like those people are just like shitty people, or like don't know how to word something. But like the majority of people, like especially like your family and friends, or like anyone who you've told your story to, like they always look up to you, and they always think like you're amazing. So like just go off that thought, like don't let any of those bad thoughts happen. And like essentially, like if someone knew what you'd gone through, and like you're sitting better in yourself training in the gym, like they can only look up to you. Like there can't be any judgment. So I think try and like forget about those intrusive thoughts, and just remember the reason why you're in the gym is for you. And like if it's something you enjoy, then like keep doing it, and like just remember why you're there if you have goals or whatever. And then just like a lot of people do suffer with gym anxiety. Like most of my clients when they come to me do suffer with it, and it's just not suffer, but like they experience it. So just like take it bit by bit. Like that's what I did. Like if the first time you go is just like sitting on the treadmill, just like looking about, and like getting an eye for the place, seeing what machines they have, then like just find out how to figure out the machines. And then like next time like go and get a mat and just do some stretching while still looking about, and like just feeling more comfortable. And then like I don't know, like in the gym, like there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like I'm a PT, and like there's still some machines I'm like, oh my God, how do you work this? Because like all the machines are different. And then like I like literally fall all the time. Like I whack my head off things. Like I'm the most clumsy person ever. But like again, like it just comes back to like people are human. Like no one actually cares, and like you're there for yourself.
From a nutrition perspective, have you found that there are any particular foods, or I don't know if you take any supplements or anything, that either help your stoma and output, or perhaps as like a absolute avoid for you?
It's a difficult one, and like it sort of ties into bloating. That like a lot of people think it's a particular food that like can cause bloat. So that would be my main experience is like the bloating, but a lot of the time it's just like stress or dehydration or like bad timing of meals. Obviously there is like bad foods that like, not bad foods, but foods that can proper cause blockages, such as like hard carrots or like mushrooms, popcorn, foods like that I do just try and avoid. And then foods like that as well, I just make sure I cook them longer. So if I want to have carrots, I'll just make sure they're like more of a soft texture, and then just like really focus on like chewing my food. And yeah, like once I just like started introducing them like slowly, and then like your body like I don't know, I remember the doctor saying like your small intestine has to take on a lot more of the work. And I remember like the first week being in hospital, I tried to eat something different and there was no way it was going down. So it was only coming up, and it was just essentially like my small intestine was like, oh my God, we have so much more to do here. But so that's kind of like the way it is. Like if you just introduce it slowly and like do everything you can for those particular foods that you enjoy, like chewing like so much, cooking it to make sure they're like soft, not hard. And as well, like especially after surgery as well, like your intestines, I feel like take so long to digest things. But if you like just sit down after a meal for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, like don't try and, what I still can't do it now is like eat a meal and then go on a walk, or eat a meal and then go on a night out. Like I'll have to have a lot more hours in between, just to like let my body digest things. But yeah, the trigger foods are always going to be there, and like sometimes they have caused me like bad blockages, but it's never been so bad, and just doing things that I know help. So like water, fizzy juice, just lying down and trying to relax, like always does push it through.
Listening to your body, basically. Listening to all of its signals and signs.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier how important building your core strength back up is to allow you to then branch off into whatever sports or fitness journey you want to go down. What would you recommend in terms of strengthening your core? What might be like good kind of post-surgery recovery core exercises?
Yeah, so the first one usually I recommend is just literally like a bridge, so lying on the floor and then lifting your pelvis up. It's really good for like your pelvic floor as well. And essentially like everyone thinks that's like a bum exercise, but it's so good for like your lower core. And then like progressing that to like lifting one leg off the floor and just doing reps with like one single leg, and then dead bugs, so like lying on your back, having your hands up, and just start first with your hands. Like everyone thinks like, oh my God, your legs, and doing it with your legs is so difficult. Like everyone finds it difficult, but even just doing it like single arm at the start, and then progressing to two arms, then progressing to like just your legs and having your hands to support you, and then progressing to like one leg, one arm, and then the plank. You can never go wrong with the plank. But essentially, like all exercises, like try and stay away from like exercises that are all like abs or like build your abs in 3 minutes. Just focus on like deep core exercises, and like a lot of the exercises also tie into like pelvic floor function as well, which is like so good, especially for people who have had abdominal surgery that may be just like weak overall. So yeah.
That's great. That's so helpful. We've had so many questions about that in the past. We'll make sure that we get that out there. In terms of travel, this is another topic that comes up time and time again from everyone in our community, whether people are scared if they've just had surgery, they don't know if they can travel or not. They've heard rumours about not being able to go on a plane if you have a bag, and obviously none of that is true. And you obviously live in Bali at the moment. Travel's a big part of your life. How do you find traveling with a stoma, and are there any things that you think people need to have in their minds before they go and travel?
Well, what I would say is I had a trip planned to Zambia for like a month after my surgery. I'd done all the fundraising and was ready to go, and obviously I just like wasn't allowed to go. I was like begging to go, and the surgeon was just like, actually no, like it's not safe. So I think the main thing is that you do have to be like fully recovered from surgery. Like your insides need to be fully healed, because if you get a bug with like contamination in water and stuff, which is pretty high risk in like Asian countries, like it can be really, really dangerous for people with a bag. One, like dehydration, obviously, and then because like your output would be thinner and you're throwing up everything, and then two is just like the extreme like vomiting and output from your stoma. Like it can cause like twists and like things like that, which like do lead to maybe more surgery. So it is a big risk. So I'd say like stay away from those countries until you are fully recovered. But other than that, and like I had a bug, and thankfully I was one of the lucky ones that I recovered within a few days and I was okay. But yeah, I haven't really found any other difficulties. Even when I had an issue with my stoma a few months ago, and I went to the international hospital and they just like gave me an antibiotic, or I don't even know if it helped. I don't think they had much of a clue, but I was able to like contact my doctor back home and like the stoma team back home, and they were just able to advise me. I literally sent a photo of my stoma and was like, help, what is this? And they were able to give me some advice, and then off I went to the pharmacist and got sorted. But Yeah, I think the main issue is just dehydration, which is a thing when, like, even when I was going on holidays, like straight after my surgery, I went to Sorrento with my mummy and daddy. I like third wheeled their trip. But like from the start, like it's always just been like hydration, and just make sure you have like electrolytes with you, and stay on top of your water throughout the day, especially in the heat.
Sounds very sensible. In terms of plane travel specifically, people kind of get concerned about something might happen with their bag in the air pressure. I'm assuming that that's never been an issue for you, but I know you mentioned something about airport scanners.
Yeah. So the bag issue on a plane is literally not a thing. It can't fill up any more than what your body is making it fill up. And there's toilets on the plane. They're completely fine for emptying your bag and stuff. In the airport security, if you do have to go into that machine, you put your hands above your head and it like spins around you. It does always highlight my bag. Sometimes I like look and it's like literally highlighted. It's like right side, and then they're just like, yeah, you're fine. And then other times I see it and they're like, come here, and I'm like, no. But I'm always just like it's always a woman, and I always just not whisper, but I'm just like, I have an ileostomy bag, and either they're really embarrassed because they have no idea what that is, or they're like, oh god, okay, yeah, fine, and they just like pat me down and that's it. I did have one annoying experience. I was working in Manchester, so I was flying back every week, and at the same airport, if this was flagged, they had to bring you into like this room and basically like tap you down and like take off your coat and like look at it. Oh yeah, I think I had to like get my bag out and she had to like swab it, which was like really annoying, but I just like took all emotion out of it and was just like, I was always so tired anyway. I was just like, do what you want, like just please let me through. So yeah, that was the only like shitty experience, and like at the end of the day, like it was fine. They were just doing their job, and I ended up having the same woman every single week. So she was just like, "Oh God, it's you again."
You again.
Yeah. So it was actually fine, but other than that, like I've had no real issue. And I think one of the perks with having a stoma that like maybe not many people know about, but they should know about, is you can ask your doctor for a letter that says you need additional luggage for your medical supplies. And I have been traveling with like 40 kilos of luggage, and I've only paid for 20.
Oh, great perk.
Yeah,
make sure everyone contacts them.
Yeah, not actually 20 kilos is not just medical supplies, like.
When you mentioned earlier that by the time you actually had your stoma surgery, because you had resisted it for so long, you didn't know that much about it. When you found out you were having it, or just after you'd had it, where did you go for information about what you were going to go through?
I don't think I did. They told me maybe like the night before. I was vomiting and like had really low blood pressure and really high temperature. So they were like, we need to take you into surgery. I think I was maybe then the stoma nurse came, and I still just didn't really want to listen to her, God love her. But she left me some leaflets to read, and I don't even know if I read them. I did flick through them, but like I don't know. I was just sort of like, I've got this. Like I'll just do it on my own, and like everyone's different as well. But yeah, I just didn't really have much advice, to be honest. Like, I know now, like, after a few months and stuff, I ended up finding, like, loads of people on Instagram, and, like, it's such a nice community out there of, like, majority girls that I follow, like, who have bags and, like, who all experience the same things. And, like, there are men out there too, but it's just so nice to know, like, you're in it together, and, like, any tips and tricks, like, they're always popping up to each other and, like, asking for help, or if something goes wrong, like, the best person you can speak to is someone with a bag, to be honest.
Yeah, it's such a lovely community. I've been really lucky to be able to speak to so many of them, and so many of you as well. And it's just, it's been amazing to get to know everybody and see how supportive everyone is of one another, and how it feels like there's been a real rise in people wanting to help other people in the similar position and share their story. And I think that's so special.
Yeah. I think like everyone just knows like the impact it would have had if like you had someone there the whole time. Like even like girls message me now and they're like, oh my god, I'm getting surgery next week, like the nurse gave me your Instagram, or like I've just came out of surgery, and like the amount of people who are like, I don't know what I'd do without you, or like the amount of tips you've given me, or like just stupid things. Like a girl like similar age to me from back home has just had surgery, and like I've just been voice noting her like everything, and then like we silly things that like I've just came to understand out of experience, like what works for me and what doesn't, or like why certain bags might work and like why certain bags are just shit for some reason, or like in certain situations. And she was just like, oh my god. And like they're the things that like stoma nurses maybe like don't know, because you do need that experience, or like you do need to be like put into like a certain like situation where you have to like experience like the pros and cons of this and that. So yeah,
there's nothing like a first-hand account to really help someone through.
Yeah.
To that end, what would you say to anyone who has stoma surgery coming up and is perhaps listening to this? Maybe what to expect or things that they should be aware of?
I think the first thing is just like go easy on yourself. Like after surgery, it isn't going to be like amazing time. Like it's going to be slow, and like you're not able to laugh, you're not able to sneeze. Like I think as well, like maybe some people come to me for advice and look to see how well I'm doing, but I also went through like 3 months of like really not shit recovery, but like a really hard time. But like just know that like you will come out the other end of it, and like as soon as your body's healed and like your mind essentially as well, like you'll just be back to yourself, if not better. And like the one advice I'd give is just be like completely open to everyone. Like it's nothing ever that you should ever be ashamed of, and if you're more open, like it just like takes away that like ever like self-doubt or like self-thought that it might be like something that you should ever be ashamed of or embarrassed of.
Love that. Aisling, thank you so much for being here and for giving so much useful advice for anybody who's about to go through this. And we will make sure that we share your handle so that if anyone does want to reach out to you personally, they will know where to find you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much for being here, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks.
Talk
to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have you seen the new Ostique skins yet? Ostique skins are revolutionary ostomy pouch covers that were created to make the wearer feel confident, sexy and powerful in all of life's moments. From moments of intimacy to lounging by the pool, conquering a workout or simply heading out to lunch, skins have you covered. Even better, they're compatible with all major colostomy and ileostomy bags. Ostique skins are available in a range of colours and skin tones, and they're made from a revolutionary material that's completely waterproof, high quality, soft and comfortable. Skins are easy to use, even with reduced dexterity, and they work with both closed and drainable bags. Plus, skins are also environmentally friendly and vegan. There are 4 bundles available to buy now, and you can also purchase individual skins. Head to ostique.co.uk to find out more.